Hi guys, sorry about that. Are we back? Our internet totally shut down. Is everyone there? I'm so sorry. Everybody with us? Come and join us again. I apologize. Something happened. All of a sudden, we just totally lost our internet. Yes, you are. Awesome. Thanks, Eileen. Yeah, that was weird. All of a sudden, it was like there was just nothing. So please join us. Come back in. I'm not sure why. Hi, Cindy. Sorry. Again, you know, there's pros and cons to living in the country, and the one big one is the internet. This is the first time we've ever been booted off. No, it's not you. Say welcome back to Kathy for me. That's from Trish, Kathy.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much. That's sweet.
All righty. So I'm going to get going. We'll wait for people to come in, but I'm just going to get kind of going a little bit so that for those of us that were back or were with us before, they're now going to be back with us. So we should be good to go. I think we're good. Okay, so as I said, we are working with the Forest Tea Party 6x6 paper pad. Lots of sheets of paper in here. Absolutely love it. Okay, so I am going to do this in a 3-step method. Hi, Tina. We are going to do 3 different levels of difficulty. Okay. So I'm going to do one card that is for our ladies that are new to card making. Maybe you've never made one, maybe you've wanted to make one. I was always afraid of cards because I was a scrapbooker. I'm a 12x12 layout girl. I like doing my albums. I was never fond of cards, didn't know how to start, didn't know where to place things. And so I never really did many cards. And I think that most of that was because I couldn't visualize where things went. So when we lived in Carlton Place, my next door neighbor used to sell Stampin' Up, and she had never done a layout before. And so I said, okay, well, you teach me cards and I'll teach you how to do a layout. And she was a graphic designer. And she said, the first thing to realize is that just visualize that the card is a mini scrapbook page. The minute she said that, oh my God, like the lights went off. It was an aha moment. And it was just one of those great things that she said to me. And it has always stayed with me, okay? Oh, I love Stittsville. Yeah, so our first card that we're gonna do is for the ladies that are new to card making, okay? So this is number 1. And then we're gonna step it up a little notch, and we're going to add some layers. We're gonna do some distressing. We're gonna set an eyelet. We're gonna incorporate a few other things, so that, you know, you went from this and now you're gonna step it up a little bit. And of course, you know me, then the third one's gonna be a me card. So this is a little bit more advanced. We're gonna make some heartfelt flowers. We're gonna add some trim. We're going to do some layering, lots of inking, that kind of thing, okay? So this has always been kind of my plan, where you can make 3 cards, 3 different levels of difficulty, and they all are beautiful. Hi, Heather. How are you? My sister's on. Woohoo! Yeah, if I could only get you to make a card. So this is where we're going to start with just our new to card making. We're going to ramp it up a little bit, and then we're going to go full Leanne. Okay? Love, love, love the third. Well, now, Eileen, you've just made 1 card, and I'm kind of doing this with you in mind. You're like me, you want to just jump right in the deep end, but there's some things that you need to know kind of on the way. You don't want to just jump off that cliff and hope that you're going to land in the water. You got to kind of have a plan, right? So this is what we're going to do. So we're going to be using some corner punches. We're going to be using a scoreboard. We're going to be doing a lot of different things today, okay? So the first thing that I wanted to let everyone know is that, do you know from an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, so we have 8.5 by 11, okay? do you know that you can get 2 cards from this? And do you know, depending on if you cut it vertically or horizontally, that you're going to get 2 different shapes of cards? Some people know this, some people don't. So I'm seeing when we're going to start with a basic card. I'm going to just walk you quickly for 30 seconds through the easiest way to make maximize your card stock and score it and know exactly what you're doing. Okay? So let me just clean my area a little bit. Baby steps, exactly. All right. So I'm just going to bring up my trimmer and we're going to turn down to our workstation. Okay. So depending on which way you cut your paper, how you put it in your trimmer. Hi, Kathleen. How are you? I miss your lovely face. Hugs to you and Frank. Be careful over there. All right, so depending on how you put this into your trimmer, if you put it going across the 8.5, so there's my 8.5. If you cut this at 4 1/4, which is half of 8.5, so if we bring this back to 4 1/4, so there's my 4 1/4, and we cut this, you're now going to get 2 cards. So what you would then do is you would bring in your scoreboard, okay? So for those of you that don't know what a scoreboard is, this has ridges that you're going to run the bone folder inside of to create a score line, okay? You can use the one that comes with the tool. I also like using Tim Holtz's rub-on tool. The bald end fits in perfect to the grooves. Now, having said that, when Gary does any cards for me, he doesn't like this one. So if you take our 2 pieces of paper that we just cut and you turn them so that the 11 is across your scoreboard and you score this at 5.5. Okay, we're going to do both of them at one time, 5.5. And again, I know this is remedial to some people. So the side that we just scored on creates a valley. And the benefit to the valley is it actually breaks the fibers. So when we go to score this, it automatically wants to crease for us. And then you just take your bone folder, run your bone folder across, and you now have a beautifully creased tent card. Okay, so I call these tent cards because they sit like a tent. So that's if you cut it that way. You get 2 tent cards. So the other way to do this, if you take your 8.5, sorry, which way did I just do that? I did it that way. I did it across, yeah. So if you take your 8.5 by 11, you slide this over, your 11 is going this way. If you slide this to 5.5, so 5.5, and then you cut this, okay? You have 2 pieces. Just gonna get rid of my trimmer because it's so big and takes up a lot of space. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring back our 2 pieces. We're gonna turn them so that the 8.5 is going across our scoreboard. Hi, Karen. I love these tutorial learning moments. Well, you know, it's just a little bit of Leannism. I never had a class, so I just kind of found out all this stuff by sinking and swimming. Yes, my trimmer is amazing, Kim. So it's made by Fisker. It is called the Precision Pro. It never needs to be sharpened. It has a lifetime warranty. It is absolutely amazing. So going back to this, we have our 8.5 going across the top of our scoreboard. What's half of 8.5? 4 1/4. We're going to take our 4 1/4 and we're going to score at 4 1/4 on both pieces. Okay? So again, remember, we want to fold with the valley, and then you get a perfect score every time. Okay, so we're going to score the valley. Fold it on the valley side. Okay, so now you have two what I call book cards, because these open like a standard book. So depending on which way you cut your 8.5 by 11 paper, you're going to have two different methods of cards. Okay, so this is your traditional book card, and this is a tent card because it opens like a tent. So this is just a simple little thing. Make sure you maximize your paper. You always want to score really well. You want to crease well. Your paper will not tear if you fold it on the valley. Okay, a nice crease, make sure that your paper is going to stand up every single time. Okay, nice crease. Look at that, stands up perfect every single time. Okay, so that's just a little hint on some things to make your cards, to maximize your card stock, and to know different ways to cut. So our first card is going to be our beginner card. Now I've gone ahead and I've cut all of my papers ahead of time. I will give you the measurements. So when I'm measuring my card right now is going to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I'm always going to cut my paper a little smaller. So I'm going to cut my pattern paper at 4 1/8. Okay, because I want a little bit of the white showing. So I'm going to go, actually I did this one at 4. So this one is 4 by 5 1/4. And that's our main piece. Okay. And we're creating this card here. So nice and simple, not a lot of fuss. You can do a lot more to it if you want. And then what we're going to do is we are going to take our vintage photo ink, okay, and what we're going to do is we're just going to use our mini blending tool and we're just going to ink the edges. Super fun, super cool, adds just a little bit of dimension, adds a little bit of age to your paper. I don't personally like to see that white core that is inside of paper, so I like to cover that by inking the edges. I ink the edges of everything. It is my thing. I like to go kind of heavy in the corners because it just makes it look richer and deeper. Later on, I'll show you another way to go in to make it even darker and pop off even more. Okay, so then basically all I'm going to do, I'm just going to use my Dries Clear glue. Remember, when you're doing your glue, you want to have the glue on an angle. Don't go like this, because when you go like this, you're actually blocking the hole, okay? So just a nice little bead around. You don't have to be crazy. This is nice and heavy, strong glue. One thing, always make sure that you have your card opening, that the fold is on the left side, and that your paper's the right way. And then just secure and get it straight, okay? And then I always like to use my bone folder and just go over, release any air bubbles. That way the glue is even. You're not going to get lumps and bumps underneath it. Now, in this paper pack, they have some beautiful little tags and sentiments. So I stuck with the little bunny that I did on the first one. And again, we're just going to go in. We're going to ink up our edges. Go nice and hard. Do you see that white line? I don't like that white line. Okay, so we're just going to ink these up. This also helps to cover if you've not quite, when these come together in these little pages, sometimes we don't get exactly on the line. So when you ink the edges, it helps to hide if you've missed a little bit of it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use some double foam. So I've just taken some of my foam tape and I have doubled it because my particular tape is never thick enough to my liking. So I always like to have it doubled. It's going to be difficult. So usually just getting this first part off is the worst. Okay, so we're just going to put 2 pieces down. Remember my trick about putting some Dries Clear on top of the foam tape? This helps that if you need to move it, you can. So once you have your one side down, really press hard, and this actually helps to release the other piece. See how easy that is? Yes, it's beautiful paper, Kathleen. Okay. So now I always like to put a little bit of Dries Clear just on the back of my foam tape, because if I put it down, it's so sticky, and what if I don't want it there? What if it's crooked? I'm just going to use my line here as my guide, and I'm just going to center this. Now, if you wanted, you could put it in the corner. You could do anything that you want. I just wanted to keep this a simple card. Okay, so I think that's pretty straight. Okay, push it down, and now we have our first simple card. And it's so cute. You can still see the hedgehog. You can see the fox. You know, you can just, and then later on, you could add more as you step it up. This is just a beginner to really get you into knowing the basics of card making. Because sometimes I feel this isn't taught. How to cut your card, how to score it, what's the valley, what's the mountain, why does my card, Steph used to always say to me, why does your cards always stand up so well? Mine are always flippy floppy. That's part of it. And now that I've told her and shown her how to do it, her cards are absolutely beautiful. But again, it's one of those things that unless you're taught, you don't know. So this is our very first card, and this is for the ladies that are new. I would definitely go in, I would add some glitter, I might do some extra trims, but I'm perfectly happy with this just the way it is. If you do just this, it's absolutely stunning, okay? So now for our second card, we're gonna step it up a little bit, okay? So we're gonna do some tearing on the edge with a distress tool. We're gonna actually mount it. We're gonna do some layering with some cardstock. So my theory, Natalie, is if I'm going to do something really heavy that has a lot of metal, a lot of corners, a lot of heartfelt flowers, I might use a 110. But just for your standard card, which is what these are, it's 80 is perfectly fine. Just for a regular standard card, 80 is fine. 110 can be overkill. Okay. So I've gone ahead already and I have cut my paper. I have my card. I have my paper. I've used different paper just because, you know, it's so cute. I also used one of the little tags and then another tag that says time for tea. And when I first saw this, when I was working and designing this, I thought it would be really cool that as an option, where we're ripping this paper and tearing it, you could actually stick a tea bag, a pre-packaged tea bag inside of here and have the little tag hanging over for your girlfriend or your mom or someone that likes tea. So again, you can take it from this to something totally different. So to get started, the one thing I always like to tell people is if you're not using your white card base, move it out of the way. Because the odd time you'll get flicks and stuff from your ink and it will end up on the card. This is actually Nina cardstock, Kathleen. You can use basil. If you're gonna use basil for your card base, try to use what they call smoothies. So there's no texture. Okay, because the texture can sometimes make it much more pliable and is more likely to fall and bend over. Okay. So again, I'm going to go in with my vintage photo and I'm just going to ink all my edges, and I'm going to go quite heavy for this because I'm going to distress the edges of my paper. So some of this is actually going to get torn away. I'm not too worried about this top corner. You're welcome. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to create a little tear here. So I know that this hurts a lot of people to do this because it's like, I can't imagine tearing the paper. But if you tear to you, you will see white. Can I have that pad? I just wanted to see if there was a piece that the pad of paper. If I could show this on a darker piece. Okay, I'm gonna show you on this. So if you tear to you, you're gonna see a white core. Okay, you see that white core? So, and then you don't, like it's all just black on the back. But this here is all white core. So this is what is between the print on the A side and the print on the B side. Now, if you turn this and you tear it away from you, you don't get that. Okay? So it all depends on if you're tearing it to you and you want this white edge, or if you're tearing it away and you don't get it. Okay? So it's two different ways to do this. Hi, Joanne. Better late than never. Absolutely. Okay, so I am going to start tearing. Just kind of take a visual of your tag and just kind of know that you want it to be not too wide and you don't want to go too low. And then I'm just going to tear it to me, and I like to tear my paper so that it's kind of wishy-washy. I don't want it to be just a straight line, okay? And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to re-ink this again, because now I'm going to bring in my distress tool. Now, I hate to use this tool because it has been discontinued, but it is absolutely my favorite. And you can use a pair of scissors. You can use a little knife, knife blade if you only have this. This works just as well, okay? So all we're doing is we are just going to rough up our edges, okay? So you do have to be a little careful when you're going to use a blade like this, but this one that looks like your foot sander actually works really well. And if you use the blade on the side and you just bring it to you, it makes a mess. You can see the paper fibers, and I don't care that I'm ripping this, because I'm distressing, and distressing is never done pretty. This is why Kathy doesn't like to distress.
Not at all. Never.
She doesn't like fussy cutting. She doesn't like distressing, and I don't even think she likes to ink her edges.
I do.
Oh, you do? Okay. I stand corrected. All right. Now, when you're going to do this, make sure that you give yourself a little bit extra in your measurement, because you're going to be tearing away some of this paper and you don't want it to be too short. Okay, so hopefully you can see. Let me just clean all this. This is all the fibers that has come off. Tina doesn't like it either. But every once in a while you need to challenge yourself. Kathleen says hi. Every once in a while you need to challenge yourself and do something different, even if it's a one-time, one thing only. Okay? So I also want to do my tag, and this, because it has a black background, I just want the white to show. Okay, and I'm okay with that the white is going to show. Okay, so there's our tag, and then we also have our other little tag. Now for this one, all I did, I'm going to have to give you another little lesson here. So We Are Memory Keepers has corner rounders. So these are called, they're still part of the crocodile corner chomper family. And there's 3 or 4 different kinds. The one I'm going to use today has a stub on one side and a scallop on the other. And I'm going to actually show you what it looks like. Where'd my little pieces of paper go? I had 3 little pieces of white paper right here. Okay, so the trick with this is when you open this, it actually opens 2, what's the word? So you can open it halfway or all the way. You always want to make sure that it is fully open, okay? And it says on the side, stub or scallop. So if we're going to do the stub, all you do is there's a little indent. You line your paper inside so it fits in both sides comfortably. And then you squeeze. and it cuts the corner to what I call a concave, okay? Then if you turn it around and now it says scallop, if you do the same thing, slide this in, make sure that it's in here nice and tight on both sides. When you punch it, you now have a scalloped corner. And the way that, it's a funny story, I didn't know where the bits were going after I cut my corners. And I'm like, where? They're not falling out like they do on the crocodile. Where do they go? So I couldn't figure it out, so I emailed them. And they thought it was really funny that I didn't realize that the top opens up and all your little corner pieces fall out. So they actually fall into this little pocket in here, and then you just empty it. Now, when you're not using this tool, make sure you fold these up nice and tight. You don't want to leave them open because they could get damaged, so fold them up nice and tight. And then if you're that person that you don't like those kinds and you just want it to be a corner rounder, they have one that is a 1/4 inch and one that is a 1/2 inch. So again, we're going to open it fully so you hear the 2 clicks. I'm going to do the 1/4 inch right now. Make sure that it fits in here nice. You punch it and now you've got a nice corner round. Now if we turn it over and we do the 1/2 inch, again, make sure it's in there nice and snug. Now it's a thicker, more rounded than the bottom one. So these are called crocodile chompers, corner chompers, and they come in many different sizes, and they have a bunch of new ones coming out, retro, and they have different funny corners on them. So I'm going to use my stub to create nice little corners at the top of my tag. Okay, so I'm going to put it against here so you can see. So I've concaved the top corners. And now we're going to bring in the crocodile. So this is the mother of these corner chompers. This is the crocodile. And I did a little demo on this a week or so ago. We're going to use a small hole. And we're just going to punch a little hole in the center of our tag. Okay, so there's our little hole. And I'm going to dig in here and I'm going to find, let's do silver on this one. I'm going to find a silver eyelet. Okay. So I'm going to put my eyelet inside of my hole. Maybe. My fingers aren't working. Okay. Now we want to have it so that it's held in your hand like this. We want to set the eyelet down onto the prong. And now we're going to squeeze it. Okay. And now we have set an eyelet. Okay. So I'm going to need this for when I tie my ribbon on here, or my twine, so that it doesn't rip my tag. So it kind of protects the hole. Okay. So I'm going to go in with my vintage photo. I'm going to ink up my edges. And then I'm going to go back with my distressing tool. And I'm going to ink up and distress all my edges. Okay, and again, I'm not worried that it's torn. I want that look. It's the look I'm going for. Okay. Now again, you can do it with scissors. You can do it with this tool that fits on your finger. It's all whatever you have in your stash. Okay, that makes all this round, these little fibers all come off. Okay. So I also, I guess, where's my green piece? I forgot to cut my green piece. All right, so on this card here, we are going to cut our caper. This is the color of cardstock that I'm using. So we're going to cut this piece to be 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So I like to have, as you guys know, different sizes. So we're going to do let's do our 5 3/8 first because I have a long piece. And then we're going to turn it and we're going to do 4 1/8. Okay. I tried to get everything cut ahead of time. I figured everyone's pretty good at knowing how to use a trimmer. So I didn't think that was going to be a big deal. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to adhere the caper paper, wow. The cardstock onto my card base. And again, ensuring that my fold is on the left-hand side. Have a little bit of white showing all the way around. Okay. Use our bone folder, make sure it's nice and totally smooth. And then what we're going to do, I'm actually going to use some foam tape again. Always try to remember to put your pin in your glue. Okay. So we're going to put some foam tape on the back. And again, I'm not too crazy that it's all secured down. I just want to know that it isn't going to fall off the card base. Okay. Do a little piece here. Oops. As soon as I walked in, I was showing Kathy what I've been doing on all the bags with the people's names for pickup, and she took the red Sharpie and drew all over me. Told me how much she missed me. I was like, wow, thanks. Okay. We're going to press it down nice and firm. Get our little pokey tool, pick off the side. I love foam tape. I probably should have shares in 3M because I like it so much. Okay. Now again, want to make sure that we put a little bit of our dries clear on here so that if we have it crooked, we can get it off. So I'm just going to center this a little bit. Okay. Now you can put the little black tag on before or after. It doesn't matter. Do you know where that little tag went? I lost my tag. See, this is what happens. It doesn't matter the size of room that you have. You always lose things. Okay. So I'm just going to slide this underneath. Now, for me personally, I want it to be a little out and uneven. I don't want it to be exactly square. So I'm just going to secure this. Okay. Now, another one of my little tricks that I like to have is I always want to have a dry baby wipe. Okay. So dry baby wipes. If you have your glue down and it squishes out the side, the minute that you put this on there, it soaks it up and removes any residue from your paper, and you'll never see it. Okay, so now we have our back tag down, we have our main piece down. Oh, you know what I forgot? See, now this is a good thing. I forgot to wrap my twine around. So not a problem. I'm gonna get this off of here. Sorry, that was my bad. I got so excited. Okay. So I'm gonna take some brown twine. I'm gonna start wrapping. I want a nice little tail. Put your tail up by your wrist and just wrap it around. But when you wrap it around, make sure that you wrap it around unevenly. Okay, and always give yourself enough. And then what I like to do is I like to put one tail underneath the whole wraparound and tie my knot. I find I like the way that it looks when it's all together. Okay, and then I like to have these pieces just kind of pull them apart a bit so that it adds interest for no other reason than adding interest. Okay, and then we're going to take our tag. We're going to go through the eyelet. Okay, we're going to tie a knot. So now this eyelet helps to protect this paper so that it is not going to get torn by me or the person that I've gifted this to. Okay. And remember, you are the master of the bow. So you make it go where you want it to go so that it looks pretty. Okay. And then what I like to do is I like to pull them with my finger in the middle, take both tails, pull really hard so that they go straight down. Now the tails are straight down. And I'm just going to trim off a little bit. Okay. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to put some more Dries Clear in the back of my foam tape. It's still super sticky. And we're going to adhere this back on, and you would never know that I forgot to do that. Okay. So there is... Oh, awesome, Ellie. I'm glad. You're very welcome. I think I still have to get prices or something for you. I have to check my email. I'll get Kathy to do that after, and we'll square up on that. So this is our medium card. So on this one, we did inking, we distressed the edges, we did a layer of cardstock, and like I said, down the road, if you wanted, you could actually put something inside of here, a tea bag, or something like that, or you can add more to it. So again, we've gone from our new to card making to a little bit more advanced. Okay, so we've just stepped it up a little bit and a little bit. So now for our third card, we are going to do it a little more, do a little more to the card. Isn't that pretty with the flowers? So I'm just going to move some stuff out of my way because I'm going to actually be making some heartfelt flowers. There's some stuff I don't need, so I don't want it in the way, and you guys don't have to look at it. Okay, so to create this card, I'm going to show you everything that we are going to use. Move my stuff out of the way. Okay, so for this card, I am using the Sweetheart border. I'm using this top one here. So that is going to cut out this beautiful trim. Okay, it is my most favorite die. I think I'm probably going to stash one away for myself because I've noticed that I've used it so much that maybe my die might be, you know, starting to go. So I don't want to not ever have one. So this is the trim that I'm using. I'm also working with the flowering dogwood. So this is the flower that we're going to create and the die cut. So this is the stamp. So this stamps all of these flowers and then the die cut cuts them all out. Okay, so we're going to create these beautiful dogwoods. So I've already gone ahead and stamped them. Okay, so I'm going to color them with you. I'm going to show you how to do that with the leaves. Now this mat here, this is from Heartfelt Creations, their shaping mat, molding mat. And I'm going to be using a stylus. There is no mold for this flower. I'm also going to be using Rajni's Crystal Clear, which I'm going to sprinkle over the top. So this is just pure heaven. It is all just beautiful glitter. It has actual glass shards in it, which makes it so shiny. So we're going to use this. You're going to learn all my tricks today. My number one medium for putting the Rajni's Crystal Clear on my flowers is the Distress Crackle Paint in the clear rock candy from Ranger. And I'm going to apply that with a paintbrush. And then I'm also going to use some stamens. These are Heartfelt Creations. And these are their candied, sugared something. We're going to need 4 of these. Now, if you notice right now, they're white, but they're not going to be. Okay. So the reason I like using the white is I can make these any color that I want. This little container, Trish, is just from the dollar store, okay? There's no way I can ever get it back into that little jar. So I like to put mine, and I usually dump 3 or 4 inside of here, and then I just dump it back in. So I'm just gonna move some of this out of the way. I'm gonna do the flowers first so that they have some time for drying, okay? Can I have that mat right there, babe? This mat?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so for my dogwoods, I'm going to use 2 colors. I'm going to use aged mahogany, and I'm going to use antique linen, okay? These are my most favorite combos. I love antique linen in the center of my flowers. It just gives it a little something that I love, okay? Now I've noticed one of my blooms isn't cut that well, but that's okay. I think I'll just do less. So I'm just going to take my antique linen, I'm gonna ink up my dauber, and I'm literally just going to ink the center of my dogwood. I'm not going out far, I just want to do the center and leaving a lot of white. Okay, so that's as easy as that is. So that's the center. Then with my aged mahogany, which is my favorite color, I use it for everything. I use it with my larger blending tool. I use it, just have a little piece of Velcro on the bottom of my ink pad just to store that on there so I know where it is. I love this color. So I'm just going to ink this up, but I'm going to hold it this time in my hand, and I'm going to place my thumbnail exactly where I don't want the ink to go past. And I'm just going to ink up to the edge of my fingernail. And it's just kind of 1/8 of the way down. My hands get really inky, but I know that it's exactly where I want it to be. I juiced this up last night so it's nice and dark. Okay, and I'm going to do the same on the top of the larger flower. Now these are the small dogwood. I love making flowers. If I could do this all day, every day, I would. I just love it. Now I'm also going to do just a little tip on the back, just because sometimes you can look, if you're that person that looks underneath on cards, you might be able to see a little bit of it. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It all depends. But we are going to be manually shaping these. So again, I'm not like totally covering the back, just the edges of the petals. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my stylus. I have 2 different sizes on my stylus. So I have a larger one tip on this end, and then I have a smaller tip on this end. So what you're going to do, it doesn't matter if you wet them or not. It's totally up to you. I often do them from dry. So I do what I call the pokey method. If you ever watch Emma Lou, she does a circular motion when she shapes her flowers. I can't do it. I don't know why. So I'm going to use the larger end, and I'm just going to poke and create like a little bowl. And you notice that I'm not touching the flower. Both of my hands are away from the petals. I have a lot of people that come in at a class and they're holding it like this, and it's like, well, all the work you just did, you've pressed down. So we're going to turn it over, use the small end, and just make a nice little bowl in the center. Okay. We'll do this one as well. See, that's the round. I try to do it. It doesn't feel natural to me, but it's whatever you like to do. Emma Lou told me that she doesn't know how to do the pokey method like I do, and I said, well, I don't know how to do what you're doing. So, and then I could even have went to a smaller end for these little ones. And then a little trick, if you want a deeper impression, fold your mat in half and push down, and then you really have a deep bowl. Okay, so it all depends on what you want for your finished look. You can also, if you're that person that has 2 of these mats, because I do sell them single, you can just layer 2 mats on top of each other. So the next thing I'm going to do is I have this piece of foam. I don't know where it came from. It's just something I've had forever. I'm going to use one of the golf tools. So I'm going to use the second largest golf tool, and I am going to poke holes. Do I want to? Yeah, I'll do this now. Okay, so I want to bring it up a fair way because I'm going to be sticking stamens inside. But you don't want it to go too far that it breaks your flower. Okay, it's a little easier on the small ones. And don't worry about what you think you're wrecking your flower. You're not. Okay. Now, these stamens are white, but I don't want them to be white. I want them to be burgundy. So I'm going to take my dauber and I'm just going to ink up the edges. And again, I am not reinventing the wheel here, but you can get any color stamen you want. You make that look so easy and I struggle doing them. Guess I need, it is, Denise, it's a lot of practice. Watching videos, and if we've met or if you're going to be coming into Paper Lane, send me a note, ask me. I do demos all the time once we're open. I want to try to show people the easiest way to do things because then you're going to make more of them. And the one thing with these stamens, they have a white stem. So you always want, if you're going to change the color, you want to bring the color down a little bit so that you're not seeing so much white. Okay. I like to take two. I'm going to fold them in half nice and tight. And I'm going to put them through my flowers, through my petals, and pull them down. You can also tie wire around them to stop this from happening, which I may end up doing because I seem to be all fingers right now. I'll make my hole just a little bigger maybe also. I would love to come in, but I'm in Western Oklahoma. Okay, so why don't I come to you and then you can take me on a storm chasing tornado thing, because my husband and I, Gary, we've been talking about doing that forever, and I said to him just the other day that we would have to go to Oklahoma or Kansas where all the storms are. So that would be fun. So because I'm struggling and I don't want to keep you guys, I'm just going to take a piece of wire and I'm going to get my stamens in line. Okay, so I have my frilly end on either end. I'm going to take a piece of wire and I'm going to wrap it around. Okay, and then I'm just going to secure this. Yeah, I bet. Okay, so now I have this secured in the wire. I'm now going to take it and I'm going to put it through my holes and it's going to go through easy peasy. Okay. Easy peasy, right through the two holes. Okay. Now when you set them, you always want to make sure that your petals are off center. You don't want them to be laying exactly on top of each other. And then we're just going to put a little bit of glue. Probably should have had my glue gun for this. Here we go. Okay. And then just set these aside. We'll take another piece of wire. I save my wire. Yeah, I know. But you know what? One time, I'm not just going to waste a piece of wire for one. So again, we're going to loop it. We're going to secure the wire. Make a nice little tail. That way you can get the two ends through. Pull it up the center of your bloom. See how easy that is? Instead of fussing like I was doing. Okay. How did you find out about us, Denise? All the way down in Oklahoma. We're all the way up here in Canada. So again, we're going to stagger our petals, make sure that they're off center. Pull them up nice and tight. Play with them until they're exactly where you want them. Okay, put a little bit of glue on the back just to secure it. You can also put a little bit in between. And again, dries clear, hence the name, dries clear. So you don't have to worry if you get a little bit all over your flower. Okay. And now what I'm going to do, I am going to use my paintbrush. I'm going to use my Ranger's Distress Crackle Paint. And I'm going to get myself all ready. So I want to have my glitter ready. I want my spoon ready. Okay. Now I'm going to hold in one hand. I'm going to paint with the other. Now when I put this on, I want this to be quite liberal. I don't want it to be hit and miss, but I don't want it to be gobby either. Okay. So you have to know that you're getting enough of the medium on your flower, and don't worry if it kind of pushes them down a bit. We can go back and fix them. And then we're going to take a little bit of Rajni and we're going to go up nice and high. Okay, and we're just going to sprinkle, kind of turn so that you're getting it everywhere on the petal. Okay, you want to make sure that you knock off all your excess, and look at that beautiful bloom. Now it is a little flat, but don't worry, because once it dries, we're just going to pick them up and they'll be all pretty again. Okay, got that nice and close so you can see all the glitter. Like, this is just pure heaven. If you don't have this stuff, you need it. Okay, so now I'm going to let these dry. I'm going to go in, I'm going to do the same on this one. Again, going quite liberal. This aged mahogany is just the prettiest color with the antique linen. I put antique linen on a lot of my centers of my flowers. But don't be all concerned that things aren't where they should be or whatever. You can go back and fix them. This is paper, okay? Nothing's wrecked. So again, we're gonna go high. We're gonna sprinkle all this pretty all over this. Knock off our extra. Okay, so now we have two beautiful flowers. And we're just gonna let these dry while we put the rest of our card together. Okay. You want to make sure that you're not coughing and sneezing. Whoa, you okay?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is our leaves. So for the leaves, I'm just going to go in with peeled paint. And I'm going to go in this time with a little bit of aged mahogany. So I find that when you add a bit of color to leaves, it just gives a little bit of a shadow. So I'm going to go in only at the very tip, or the base, sorry, the base of the leaves with the cranberry color. Okay. Now on this one, I use the antique linen, but I'm going to do a little bit of color on this one. So we're just going to do a circular motion. I'm only going just a little bit onto the petals. Now I'm going to go in with my peeled paint. I'm going to have a little bit of a heavy hand and always go in a circular motion. The reason for that is it helps to cover the white core on the side of your petals. Okay, and you want to go right up to the aged mahogany so that there's no stop and start. It all wants to blend naturally, right? Like an ombre. So we're just going to hold it. And then always on leaves, I like to do a little bit of green because they're going to get pressed, and sometimes you can see under them depending on the type of leaf that you're using. And these are just flat right now. So this is not, if you've just had a manicure, you're not going to want to do these right now. Which if you've just had a manicure, I'm really super jealous. All right, I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to bring back my shaping mat, and I'm going to turn my leaves down so the good side is down. I'm going to go with my larger end, And I'm just going to do a little bit along the sides. And all I'm doing is making the edges curl. Do you see how this one's flat, untouched? This one has, I'm just breaking the fibers. And all it does is it makes the leaf look like it's real. Leaves are not flat. So just a little bit. Turn it over, and I like to create a glue spot. Now this one doesn't have enough, so I'm going to go a little heavier. A little glue spot. So I'm just going to, on the good side, press down on the stem. Now I have a place that the glue is going to stick. Sorry, I just need a drink. Ah, there we go. Talking too much. All right. So we're going to let these all just sit over here. Now we're going to build our card. Okay? So let me get my pieces for our card. So again, we're still doing a standard A2. Got all my pieces. So now we're layering a lot. Okay? So what we're going to do now is we're just going to cut our green caper cardstock. The color that I used is actually called caper. It is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Okay, so 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And we're just going to use our Dries Clear glue. Nice little frame. You need 2 colors of the leaves, please. Which do you mean? Okay, so now we're just going to lay this down. Okay, take our bone folder, make sure that everything's all nice and smooth, get rid of our excess. Okay, everything's opening up properly. So when I was designing this card, I wanted it to have a lot of layers, and I wanted it to have different dimensions and different aspects that were a little bit more than the other one. So this is the other piece of the deer paper. Okay, so the peeled paint and the aged mahogany. Okay, so all I did was I just cut this apart. So this piece here is cut 2 7/8 by 5 1/4. And we're going to go in and we're going to ink up the edges with Vintage Photo. Welcome, Susan. You're a busy lady. That's why you're late to the party, but better late than never. Okay. Now, for our cardstock, the next piece that is going to sit on top of this, I have cut this piece 2 1/2 by 5 1/8. Excuse me. I'm also going to ink the edges of this because, oh, good for you. Oh, I'm so jealous. I don't go till March the 9th. Mind you, I was cutting my hair this morning. So I don't often ink the edges of cardstock, but I really wanted it to be, I really wanted you guys to be able to see the layers and see the buildup. Now my pretty little deer, this piece is cut 2 1/4 by 4 7/8. But again, it depends on your paper and what your little image is, okay? So I'm gonna ink the edges on this one as well. Now you could go ahead and you could shred up and distress the edges of this paper if you wanted and make it more, totally up to you. The other thing I did, this piece here is actually the top of this when I cut it off. So I'm gonna make this into a tag. Sorry, my throat is dry. I'm gonna make this into a tag. Okay. Yes, I believe, is there any more of the 6x6 Forest Tea Party left? I think it's on the wall. I'm going to bring back my stub, and I'm actually going to punch the corners.
Yes, there are 2.
We have 2 pads left.
And 2 12 by 12.
And 2 12 by 12s. Okay. So now I've made this look more like a tag. So I'm gonna ink the edges. The paper is called P13. They are a new company. This is the front of it. So the company logo is a little cat, and it's called the letter P13. They have a wide variety. Susan Devine would like a 6x6.
Okay.
So the other thing that I wanted to do is, because I have a lot of brown here, what I wanted to do is I wanted to actually put a little darker color. So I'm going to use ground espresso, okay? So my ground espresso is a black brown. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back over everything that I've just inked, but more on the edges. So can you see the difference? So now you can still see the vintage photo, but now I've taken it up another notch by adding another color that is going to add a bigger contrast. So I don't want to cover up my vintage photo. If you notice, I'm actually more on the side going down than I am up top. Okay, so I'm going to do this on all of the edges of my pattern paper as well as my cardstock. I'm going to do my tag as well because I want it to be very dramatic so it stands off of everything. And I'm going to do my pattern paper. I am a deer person. That is my spirit animal. I love them. So if there's ever a deer on a piece of paper, I'm all over it. Okay, so now I'm going to take my little blending tool and stick it on my ink so I know where it's at. And I'm going to start putting this together, okay? So I'm going to try to do it so that it's facing you guys. I'm going to start with my piece that looks like chevrons or tree bark, okay? And I'm actually going to have it probably 1/4 of an inch from the folded side. So this is the folded side. This is just going to be glued, okay, about 1/4 of an inch. We want to make sure there's enough on the top and the bottom. Looks straight, not too bad. If you know me, I can't even draw a straight line. I can't cut a straight line. Now, when I put my walnut color cardstock down, I want the differences to show. And you don't have to be super precise. Okay. Now, and with the dries clear, if you see, excuse me, have a little bit of glue coming out the one side here. And that's okay, because if I go in with my dry baby wipe, it's going to remove that. Totally gone. Okay? So take a baby wipe out and let it just air dry. Okay? It is a great way to do that, Susan. And it's just a little piece of Velcro on the back. And then the Velcro from this side just sticks down. Now I know where it is. All right, so we got these pieces down. So now what I want to do, now my trim is much longer than my piece, but that's okay. So I want to figure out where I want everything to be. So again, I want there to be a difference between all of these different edges. And this is just for visual only. Now I'm gonna kind of figure out exactly where I want everything. Actually, I think I'm doing this on the wrong side. Sorry, I have to turn it to me. I had this on the wrong side. Okay. Can you guys still see if I have it this way? Do you understand? Okay, so now I know pretty much where I want it, so I'm going to leave this piece here and I'm going to run some Dries Clear just on my trim, and I'm going to slide it back under. It basically goes to the edge of the brown cardstock. And then you want to make sure that it's straight, excuse me, straight. Okay. And then I'm just going to glue this down. Yes, it is a good idea. I'll tell you, it's a lifesaver. So I really want my trim, my green trim, to be under the pattern paper. So this pattern paper is actually sitting on top of my trim. Okay? So now I can go in, I can remove any excess. And I'm all happy with that now. And now I'm just going to take my scissors and always go from the back side. I have it upside down. Ah. Just give me 1 second, guys. Have a look at that beautiful card. I just need a second to catch my breath. Okay. Just going to add a little bit more glue down here. It's so dry in here, I think, because of the furnace. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to open out my card and I just want to trim off the excess of this green trim. But I find if you go from this side, you can see the edges better. Okay. Yes, me too. So Tim said that when he was designing these, he says he has pork chop hands. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but anyway. For those of you that don't know, his scissors are ergonomic, or not ergonomic, ambidextrous. So you can cut if you're right-handed, or you can cut if you're left-handed with the same scissors. They both cut on either side. And it's for, you know, men as well, that you can get all of your hand in there so you've got a nice good grip, okay? One side is also serrated and one isn't. So depending on the finish that you want on your piece of paper, you can have the groove indent or not. I personally never notice it. Okay. So now what I want to do, so here I'm going to turn it to you so you can see.
Is there an ephemera pack?
No.
No, okay.
So with P13, Kathy just brought this to my attention. With P13, they do not right now have ephemera packs. However, they give you a lot of places. This is the inside of the cover. You can cut all of these pieces out. Now, Kathy won't, because Kathy doesn't fussy cut. But I'm going to cut these out.
Oh, good.
There's all these little things. You could use the circle punch on here, and you could circle punch these little bunnies in the teacup. Okay? So there are lots of pages that you can go in and you can fussy cut out some of these little animals, but they do not, as of right now, have what we call ephemera or die cuts. They do sometimes have those tags, right? But they don't have actual die cuts that we are used to. This is a new company, so they're up and coming. So I'm going to put foam tape on the back of my tag, but I'm also going to put some twine around first. Okay, so again, I'm going to leave myself a nice little tail. I'm going to wrap it around a few times. Going to make a little knot in the center. Remember to put your one tail underneath all the wraparounds. Okay, makes it stay on there better. Isn't as likely to move. make a little bow. Now, if you're that person that you can't get your fingers in there, grab your tweezers, okay? Because your tweezers are going to go in. They're going to grab that loop. Look at that, okay? I am not open for walk-in right now, Ellie. We are going to stay closed until March the 2nd. If next week the numbers really go down, we may open for 2 people at a time, but I'm just trying to play it safe right now to see where the numbers are going to be. Now, I like this little banner that's on here that's already printed, so I'm just going to write a little message on here, and I'm just going to say hello. Okay, so instead of stamping, I'm just going to handwrite it. Now I'm going to put some foam on the back. Use this piece.
Do you prefer using the foam tape as to the foam squares?
Yes.
Okay.
Reason being is I can make it whatever size I want and it will cover more. The little ones are easier because they're tiny. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to find, I gotta turn it to me for a second. Now I want this to be left of center. Okay. So again, I'm gonna put my finger, my index finger in the middle of my bow, and I'm gonna pull those tails. Okay. Ellie, why don't you give me a call that day and we can see what we're doing. Write down the number. It's 705-424-0101. Give me a call, let me know, and we'll see where we're at. So now I'm going to add my flowers, but I just wanted a little side note that if there's ladies that don't want to do heartfelt flowers, you want to have some that are ready-made. 49 in Market has beautiful flowers. Prima Marketing. There's a bunch of beautiful flowers on the market that if you're not the person that wants to do them from scratch, you can definitely do them this way. Okay? They're already made for you. So our flowers are pretty dry now. So I'm just going to go back in. I'm going to reshape them just a little bit. Cut off my excess on the back. Okay. And now I'm going to take one of my leaves and I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive on the top as well as the bottom, because I never know exactly where it's going to stick. So this way I'm covered. Okay, so we got one at the top. Now we're going to do one at the bottom. And again, it doesn't have to be even. You can put them wherever you want. Now, normally I would have my hot glue gun, but I forgot to grab it. So I'm just going to hold it by the stamens. I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to put a large amount of glue on the back. And I'm just going to wiggle it and cause a suction. I'm going to take this one. Whoops. Get off there, sticky. Do this to the second one. Just cause a little suction, lift up those petals that have moved. And now we have our third beautiful card done. Okay. So when I stamped my petals, I stamped them in peeled paint, and I also colored them in peeled paint. I also like to use olive for my stamping and then coloring in peeled paint. It all depends on the look that you want. I like to do tone on tone because then it looks a little bit more natural. But Susan, the colors that we have used today, because I know you joined a little late, we have used ground espresso, we have used aged mahogany, we have used peeled paint, we have used vintage photo. Excuse me, mine is an old one. This is the very old label from Tim Holtz. And then this is the antique linen. And I like to use this on the centers of all my flowers. Okay. So I'm also going to go back with my glitter pen, and I'm going to brush my glitter pen onto my leaves to add a little bit of sparkle. I might do a little bit more through the page. So I really like using the Spectrum Noir clear overlay. And all you do is brush this on, and I'm sure for the camera it's not going to show you all the pretty sparkle. Okay, so it's like Wink Stella. Now normally, again, as I said, if I used my hot glue gun, these flowers would be totally secured by now, but we're going to let these air dry. And so that is how you can take the same products and you can go from something very complicated to something not complicated. So depending on your day, depending on how much time you have, depending on whatever is going on in your life, you have the quick ability to make 3 beautiful different flowers. Just simple flowers, but just stepped up. Every step is a little bit more.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So, I hope you guys enjoyed making the Forest Tea Party cards with me. I had a lot of fun for sure. Definitely love doing this. So I'm going to continue with my draws for our flowers. So because I've actually made 2 sets of these, where's my other one? Okay, so because there's actually 6 cards here, I am going to do 2 draws tomorrow at noon. Okay, so there'll be 2 winners. One winner will have 1 set. The other winner will have the other set. Okay, so I'm going to do that tomorrow at noon, and I will ship these out to you if you've won. And it's going to be something nice that you're going to have in time for Easter. Doing the bunnies, I thought it would be cute to do a kind of an Easter card. Yeah, so make sure that you leave a comment during this video, and we will be doing the draw tomorrow at noon. And again, I wanted to thank everyone for, oh, you're welcome, Trish. Thanks everyone for joining in on our draw. Who is in the draw? Oh, yeah, sorry, I've got my guy here. He's coaching me along because, yeah. So everyone that has made a comment during this live will be entered in for the draw. So tomorrow there will be 2 winners. I'll announce those tomorrow at noon. You want to come around? So my girl is finally back. Okay, so we have a lot of new customers. You have to see, I can't see you down here. You have to come down to me.
Way down.
Way down. Come down to my level. Okay.
Can you see me?
Yep.
Oh,
It's just a second or so delay between
Oh,
the
I
iPad
see.
and here. Here
Oh,
you
look at-
are.
Oh.
There you are. There's my girl. Okay, so Kathy has been obviously off since
Middle of December.
middle of December.
2 months.
It's been a long time.
months. Okay.
So Kathy's back, and I just wanted to introduce her to everyone because I've got a lot of new customers that Kathy hasn't met and you haven't seen. So Kathy is a major part of the store. She runs everything. When I'm not here, she knows as much as I do, if not more, in varying different ways. We have our own specialties, but we rock as a team. And Kathy is more than capable of taking care of you guys. And I'm hoping maybe down the road, Kathy might do a demo or 2.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? But I'm just so glad she's back. So, yeah, so for you ladies that haven't met Kathy, this is our ladies.
Hello, everyone.
There you go.
Yes.
All right, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed today. I'm going to probably come back and do something maybe towards the end of the week. I haven't decided. I'm really enjoying these videos.
Yes.
I don't know how long they're going to happen once the store opens, unless I do them off hours or on a day I'm off. But I'm absolutely loving sharing all my little tidbits of information that I have with you guys to make it easier for you to craft.
And you are so good at it.
Oh, thank you.
That's the thing, right? Everyone really loves your style and the way you do it. And
Well, thank you.
And you teach so well.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
And I like to teach to everybody. I don't want it just to be an intermediate class. For people that have taken classes with me, I don't have a beginner class because I don't know how to teach a beginner. Me, I just jumped in. So I figure if I teach well enough and clear enough, I should be able to teach anybody how to do what we're doing as long as you have the product. That's kind of my theory. So anyway, I'm going to go because I've got stuff to do. We're rearranging the the store, doing some changing of things. So that's what we're going to do. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Please leave comments. I hope one of you lovely ladies, 2 of you lovely ladies, will get a beautiful set of cards.
Perfect.
All right. So take care, guys. Bye.
See you soon.